The Mark Jeffrey podcast is part of BritPod Scene, an independent network of uniquely British podcasts that's always growing. Check out BritPodScene.com or follow BritPod Scene on Twitter to find out more.
Hello and welcome to the Mark Jeffrey Podcast Show, episode 36, recorded November the 16th, 2017. This show is recorded from the studio on the hill, southwest UK, not a million miles from London. Now, episode 36 was once again proudly brought to you by MPC Solutions for all those computering needs. Yo, what's up, podcasters? Thank you for joining me once again. How's your week been? I've got one heck of a show for you this week. I had my bestie come in. His name's George. I don't get a chance to see this guy as much as I'd like to, but I totally love this guy. He's a total gentleman and a scholar. I love the bloke to bits. And he came in and had a little bit of a chat to me and Liam and kept us occupied. He bought us in a drink each, which was nice. He bought in 3 bottles of drink and we chewed on the fat and had a thoroughly good time. So I'd like to share that with you. I'm really looking forward to sharing this one. As well as having George in the studio, we also had some music from Equinox and the Broads. So get a glass of your finest, a lump of that cheese of your choice, and let's podcast the night away. Yeah.
The Mark Jeffrey Podcast Show.
Good evening, Liam.
Good evening, Mark. How are you?
It's nice to see you, mate.
No, it's really good to see you.
Yeah. What have you been doing this weekend?
Wow, I tell you what I have done. I haven't told you about this yet.
No, go on.
I did go out with a few people from work.
Really?
And we did have a few drinks.
Any drink that you haven't drunk before this weekend? Did you sip on anything?
Oh, we went to a pub called the Cecil in Salt Ash, and it's very that old English, kind of by the church.
Yeah.
And they do a very nice Abbot Ale.
All right. Yeah. Because I'd done something that I haven't done before this weekend.
What's that?
I went to the pub on Saturday night, and
It can be that.
Well, I was sipping beer, right, and to the left of me, I had a praying mantis.
Okay.
No, it's honest. I had a praying mantis sat next to me.
No, that's why I laugh, because I believe you completely.
No,
praying mantis.
The landlady that's moved in, she has like reptiles and snakes and that. And right on the bar, there is a praying mantis, which was a bit of a weird one. Spun me out a little bit because I couldn't actually find it. I had to really struggling look for it, like, you know.
Previous owners had a jukebox.
Yeah, no, they got a new one in there now.
Have they?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Oh, excellent.
Glad to see you all right, mate. Anyway, you're keeping well. You're looking fine.
No, I'm feeling fine.
Now, as well as having Liam in this studio, we also have a very, very special guest. Someone very close to me, but sadly, I don't see him as much these days as I'd like. Now, I've known this guy for over half of my life now. He's my best mate, brother-in-arms, Mr. George Vincent. How do's it, pal?
Oh, I do's it good, mate.
Yeah? You keeping all right?
Yeah, I'm fine, thanks. You?
Now, I know that you're really, really nervous. You know, as podcast, isn't really your thing. You don't normally talk on microphones like me. But don't worry about it. Don't get stressed. Don't get worried about it. Just there's only about an average of 2,000 listeners per week. But mate, don't worry about it. Just imagine now, right? Okay, that you're sat in a pub, chilling out, sipping on a beer, and just let the conversations flow with me and Liam, all right? No stress, no pressure. Don't worry. Don't worry about the 2,000 people listening. It's just you, me, and Liam, all right?
I can see why he didn't get that gig with the Samaritans. I'll be honest with you.
You all right with that, George?
Can I speak now?
Yeah, you can speak. Go on.
All right. Yeah, I think I'm all right with it. Yeah. What did you say?
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, this is going to be a cracking podcast. I've been really, really looking forward to this. The only thing that we haven't got, right, we're sat in our imaginary pub now. The only thing we haven't got is some beer. Or do we? Now, George came round on Saturday night and we was going to do a adults podcast, wasn't we, George?
Yeah, that's right.
But unfortunately, we couldn't get enough people. I haven't actually got enough mates.
I didn't reply to you. Sorry, mate.
No,
you down
didn't.
the pub.
Yeah, I was down the pub.
So what we're going to do is we decided that we're just going to go down the pub and not record a podcast. And George did leave some ales. So he's brought three bottles of beer. I hope it's 3 bottles of beer. Is it 3 bottles of beer, George?
Yes, 3 bottles of beer, yeah.
And I'm randomly going to just take them out here now and hand them to Liam. Right, okay, here's the first one. What's the first one, Liam? Tell us what the first one is.
Okay, the first beer is a pale ale. Sierra Nevada.
All the way from America.
Ooh,
All the way from
Nevada
America.
Brewing Co.
George knows his beers.
Ooh,
What have we got here then?
It's a nice
Oh, I've had
strength
that,
on
I've had that one
too.
before. I do believe that's a Guinness one, actually, if I'm correct.
It is. They've got it on tap quite a few places now.
Tell us what it is then. People at home don't know what it is. Liam?
It is Hop House 13 lager. And as you say, it's one from the Guinness.
Yeah. Oh, and there's another one.
And that is the Hop House 13 from the
So
Guinness.
I'm taking it now, George, that me and Liam will have the Hop House and you have that one there? Or
No,
what do you
no.
fancy?
I've had all of them before, so it's up to you, mate. Whatever you want to.
You sure? Is that
Yeah.
right?
Or what do you want, Liam?
I'll have all three.
All right, okay.
No,
Well, you open which one you want, and me and George will have a little bit of a
I
chat.
must admit, I thought it was going to go alcohol based when I saw you bring in the bottle opener. I thought it was either that or tins of beans.
Yeah. So these tins of beans.
Well, that you can.
Oh, right, I'm with you. Yes,
Can
it's a
opener.
bottle opener. It's got a can of it,
Yeah.
like your Swiss Army knife thing. Well, I'll tell you what, because I've got this bottle in my hand, I'll open up this one. I'm going to have the Guinness one, the 13, what is it called here? The Hop House 13 lager.
You know
I've
the
had-
story about that, Jav, didn't you?
I think I do. Yeah.
About the forgotten.
Yeah, about the forgotten factory that was closed up.
And
Was it you that told me about it, George?
No, you told me.
Yeah,
Was it
apparently.
all their recipes that they wasn't it that they found?
Yeah, apparently
after years?
Guinness in the 70s.
Just when they needed them.
When Thatcher was in charge, I think with all the taxes and that, what they decided to do was they couldn't afford to keep one of the factories open. So what they'd done is they closed it down, they shut the doors, locked it all up.
Yeah.
And about 4 or 5 years ago, decided after all this time to open up this big building. And when they opened it up, there was loads and loads of recipes and all stuff in there. And Guinness was going to make years and years ago a lager, and they didn't know what to call it, so they decided to call it Hop House 13, which was the name of the hop house which was locked up for all those years. Whether or not that's true, I do not know.
It is true.
If you work for Guinness, it is true. Is it, George?
Yeah, that variation of it, yeah.
Right. How do you know that? How do you know that?
Because Nick told me.
Now, that leads swiftly on to what we was going to start off with. Now, George, you've got some involvement in Sharp's Brewery. Am I correct?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah? Do you want to tell us a little bit about it?
Just work the events, mate. So we go around festivals and food festivals.
Oh, this is nice, this Hops House.
Yeah, I'm a fan of that. This
Yeah.
is really good.
So you go to lots of festivals, working for Sharp's Brewery, setting stuff up and speaking to lots of interesting people and stuff like that. So working behind the bar, was it?
Yeah, a bit of that. A bit of food and beer matching.
Beer matching? What's beer matching?
Just matching beer with food, really, because obviously lots of people associate wine with food,
Yeah.
things like that. So we're trying to bring the beer into the food world, and it doesn't have to be wine. It can be beer with food. It's just as good to match beer with food as it is wine.
Yeah. So this Hop House 13 and then lager, what would you have that with, do you reckon? Fish and chips?
I suppose you could, yeah. I hadn't really thought about it as a lager. Mostly do it with ale. So, but yeah, I suppose you could have it with fish and chips. Don't really. I suppose it's got a crisp flavour with hints of apricot and peach.
Oh,
Beautiful.
It'd be fantastic with fish and chips,
Fish
wouldn't
and
it?
chips.
So, George, you've known me, like I was saying earlier on, you've known me now half of your life. What I'm going to ask you now is, we've made a lot of memories along the way, haven't we? We've had some bloody good times, and we've had some good laughs.
Yeah,
Video montage.
It hasn't always ended in. It has ended in tears a few times, where you've fallen over and bumped your head and stuff like that. But we won't go into any more of that.
Thanks for that.
But what would you say was your first ever memory of me?
Probably primary school, I suppose.
You can go back that far, can you?
Well, I can remember you in primary school, yeah.
All right. So, but what
Big
would you
ginger
be?
hair.
Get out of it. So, what is what is your first memory? One thing that you can remember about me? Your first proper memory, story sort of thing.
Caught me on the hop here.
Oh, on the hop. Cool. Well, one of my first memories of you, right? And it wasn't as far as primary school. It was more secondary school, and it was with another one of our mates, Matt Thrift. And it was when you and Matt was starting out on CB radios.
After you got us on it.
Yeah.
10-4.
And you were setting up.
buddy.
You were setting up all your equipment, and I come and give you a hand and stuff like that. Now, CB radios, it stands for Citizens Band, and most people all around the world, truckers and that, use it for communications. No, we kind of used it to talk to the next house down the road about going out down the park or stuff like that, wasn't it, George? A bit like that.
Yeah, yeah. Yep, we could all keep in contact.
Social media of its day, isn't it?
But the problem is, though...
No mobile phones then.
No, but the problem is George had this area outside the front of his house, and he started leaving it as like it was more used for like flowers growing up of it, like a pretty like trellis sort of thing.
One way of hiding it, isn't it?
So that's my... So have you thought of your first memory of me yet, George?
Maybe falling out of a tree, playing golf.
Yeah, that did happen once. Yeah, I was over the park playing football, Liam.
Yeah.
It was. We was playing golf, and I decided to chip the ball out of the tree. And then
how did it get in the tree in the first place? That's the thing. That was a hell of a shot.
I can't remember.
Crikey.
I couldn't actually do it if I couldn't actually do it if I wanted to do it. I couldn't get a ball stuck in the tree. But
turns out you did.
I did, and I hit the ball out the tree, and then instead of like climbing down the tree like most normal people do, I like kind of like jumped up a tree and. Well, looking back on it, I don't think I'd done it much good, to be fair. I think I did break it or something like that. But yeah, those were back in the days, 1990s. When you was into skateboarding, George, you used to like skateboarding, didn't you?
I used to love it, yeah, mate. I used to love it. I wasn't very good at it, but I loved it.
What, could you do any sweet tricks?
I could do skids.
Could you do skids?
Yeah.
And then as well as skateboarding, you loved hip-hop music.
Oh, I love hip-hop, yeah.
Is hip-hop really dead? Do you think it is finished now?
I don't know. It's changed a lot, hasn't it? Old 90s hip-hop. That was the best, wasn't it? Best era for hip-hop.
I think so. It's more grime now, isn't it? I mean, I don't think you hear much of American hip-hop anymore now. I mean, like UK grime, which is sort of like, it's English hip-hop, really, isn't it, to be fair?
Yeah, definitely.
It's taken over the whole world, isn't it, really, to be honest with you?
Was it Stormzy?
Yeah, he's
Stormzy.
I don't go much on him, to be honest with you.
Quite like his new one, that's all right.
It's more like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like hip hop, like, but it's more like Brit hop, like
Stormzy in a teacup.
I just don't like it. It's a good one, Liam. So,
I was thinking about whether to say it or not.
What do you think of grime? Are you a grime lover?
Not specifically, no.
No.
I'm more me indie stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, and old school stuff. You know, I like me old school.
What sort of music are you listening to at the moment?
You had to ask that. Well, I'm quite into my own vinyl, as you know.
Yeah.
And I bought my most recent thing I've just bought was Eric Clapton.
Right.
And that's probably the most modern thing I've bought for a little while.
I do say you do look wonderful tonight.
Yeah, that's on that one that I bought.
It is.
Yeah.
Which album is it?
Slow Hand.
Who?
Yeah. Slow Hand.
Slow hand.
What about you, George? What music are you listening to at the moment?
At the moment? Well, I quite like a bit of... I like Wolf Alice, new song.
Oh.
That's a bit more contemporary than mine.
Is that any relation to like Slack Alice? Remember
Slack Alice, yeah.
Or Alice in Chains.
Alice in Chains, yeah. Any relation?
I don't think so, no. Brand new, these are.
What sort of style of music is that? Then?
Oh, I don't know, mate. I'm not that down with it anymore, you know.
It don't really have a style anymore, though.
There's no categories, is there?
Don't they? They kind of move to different trends and they change. You changed.
I don't really know, mate, to be honest with you, music in this day and age. It's just gone a bit weird. I stick to my old school. I still stick to my old style of music. I don't listen to any new stuff. It's all old stuff all the time.
The new Gallagher stuff.
Yeah?
Both of them, to be fair. Both.
No,
I've got to say that because I'm seeing them both.
What, like in a sexual way?
Bit on the side.
It sounds a bit sexual.
They'll find out.
I did laugh the other day because Liam Gallagher, he's obviously, they've got this running feud. And to be honest with you, it's beginning to piss me off a little bit now, this feud. Because I know that they've fallen out. And
Keeps them in the money, though, doesn't it?
The whole world knows they've fallen out, but it's just going on and on and on. But the other day, Liam Gallagher did do something that made me laugh. He's currently doing a tour at the moment. I don't know where it was. I think it was Northampton or something like that. He was playing a gig. And he put on Twitter, he was looking for somebody to employ for the night. Is there anybody out there that would be willing to sit on the stage and peel potatoes all night?
Yeah, some strange stuff he's got going on now.
Well, the reason why it is he calls our kid Potato Head, doesn't he?
Mm.
And he says that Noel Gallagher looks like a potato head. So just to piss him off even more, he wanted one of his fans, to sit on stage through the whole gig just peeling
Probably
potatoes.
Like $6,000 an hour. I would have done that.
You should have applied. He should have applied.
Well, one in the area, was I?
Now, you do a little bit of work for the Theatre Royal as well, George, don't you?
Yeah, TR2 workshop.
What's that all about? What sort of stuff do you do?
They make theatre sets for Theatre Royal and other places as well, yeah.
That must be good.
So
Yeah.
when you say making sets, is it all? What do they make them out of?
Well, wood, metal, plastic, fiberglass, the whole lot.
All the main materials.
All you can
Yeah.
think of, yeah.
So are you just a wood man? Are you good with wood, or do you do everything?
Yeah, I'm good with wood. Do a bit of metal work, a bit of woodwork. Yeah, there's like fabrics as well. There's loads of stuff.
So obviously when you're working for the theatre hall, do you come into contact with many celebrities or anything like that? Do you see many of these people?
Well, I did see one.
Go on, tell me.
Gok one.
Go on.
Yeah, he
Gok
came into
one.
the canteen.
Yeah, what did he have to say to you?
Not a lot. He seems quite a nice chap. He had a chat to a few of us and that.
Hello, darling.
Yes. He came to the Christmas meal.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was vaping away on the bench.
Was he? See, one of the blokes at work, Daryl, he's got his own theory about Gokwan. He reckons that Gokwan isn't actually gay, right? And the reason why he says this is so that he can just get to see loads and loads of birds naked. That's his own theory about it.
That's the safest theory of Daryl's
good
that you
theory,
can go
good
for.
theory.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another one, I've got on Friday night, I've got my Taekwondo presentation evening. It's our Christmas presentation even. Now, Christmas, 17th of November, to me, a bit insulting.
How'd you make it Christmassy?
Well, I don't know.
But
But
dressed as Santa?
it is down the Copthorne Hotel in Plymouth.
Okay.
And the last time I was in the Copthorne Hotel, there was a Groupon offer for a meal in there. So I took Nikki in there for a meal, and we sat there eating away and all that lot. And I could hear this voice in the background that was kind of familiar, but I didn't, so I turned around to see who it was, and it was old Biggins sat there. So
Was it?
Christmas panto.
yeah, Christmas panto.
Oh, he loves a panto, doesn't he?
Biggins was sat there in between two men. Both of them, the age of them couldn't be any more than 40 between the pair of them. So he was there with two young lads chatting away like meat between two pieces of bread, And but that, yeah, because he goes down to Theatre Hall quite a lot, George. You haven't,
Yeah,
you
he
haven't
does.
bumped into him yet.
No, not yet. No. Christmas panto time.
What's the Christmas panto down the Theatre Hall this year?
Elf.
Elf.
Oh no, it's not Elf. Elf's on now. It's I don't know. It's got Steve McFadden in it anyway.
Right.
Off of EastEnders.
That's Grant.
Oh, yeah.
Not Grant. Phil Mitchell. Yeah, I saw
I think
pictures
it's
of
Peter Pan.
Peter Pan.
Something like that. Yeah.
He isn't Peter Pan. He can't
He's
be.
Captain Hook.
I saw a picture of him today, and he just like covered in makeup, and like it just looked weird. Really, really did look weird. But yesterday, you talk about Elf. Yesterday, I was given two options. Nikki was going to go yesterday. She was going to take us to either go to a Christmas fair with Nikki or to sit down and watch Elf on the telly. Now, Christmas fairs, yeah? I mean, is it right to go to a Christmas fair on the 11th of November?
No.
It's not, is it?
24th.
No.
24th of December. That's when I go to a Christmas
Is it
fair.
right watching Elf on the 11th of November?
Don't know.
I don't know.
Well, anyway.
Yeah, probably not. I
No.
mean, it's even worse watching it on the 16th of January, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I sat down and watched Elf yesterday, and I must admit, have you seen the film Elf before?
I have.
What did you think of it? Because I thought it was a pretty damn funny film, to be fair.
I do like quite a few of the Christmas.
What's matey's name?
I don't know. He was the one that was on. What film was he on?
Step Brothers.
Oh no! What, Will Ferrell?
Yeah.
He's good. He's really, really funny.
He's funny. He is funny.
So yeah, I sat down and watched Elf. What? You're a bit of a film buff, aren't you, George? And you love your
I like
box sets
films.
and stuff like that. What would you say is your favourite film and what of all times? Favourite box set of all times.
I know my favourite box set is Band of Brothers.
Band of Brothers.
Loves it.
Now I've got that box set at my mum and dad's house. I bought it for my dad for Christmas one year. And Dad's, I don't think, ever watched it. And I've only watched the first few of them. But it's supposed to be really good, isn't it?
Oh, it's brilliant.
And I've watched none of them.
Yeah, we see you're crap, Liam, aren't you? Because you love your music.
Yeah.
But watching stuff on telly, you just don't watch anything, do you? I don't watch much.
I've come quite late to the film and box set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, film, George, what is your favourite film of all time?
Oh, it's got to be Predator, isn't it? Over here.
It has to be, mate. Predator. I
so
really.
I'm impressed with that, actually.
Do you like that, do you?
Yeah, that was good.
Dug in like an Alabama tick.
Yeah. I ain't afraid of no man. Yeah, so that's.
I ain't no man.
He ain't no man. Walking Dead. What do you?
I love it.
You're a big
Oh, I
fan
love
of
it.
Walking
Yeah,
Dead.
man,
What
I love
about is it episode 8 we're on now? Isn't it? Series 8 episode.
Don't know about
would it
3
be?
tonight.
No,
4
it's
tonight?
not. It's about 5. I think
Get
something
out.
like that. What are you thinking of episode 8 or series 8? Sorry.
Yeah, I love it, mate.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, after Negan, what's going to happen?
Yeah, but it's just dragging out. I mean,
Spoiler alert.
I
Yeah.
really, really do love Walking Dead. I watch it religiously every week. But this series is just doing my head in. It's because
That's where you're wrong.
what do you mean? It's all down to personal preference.
Yeah,
isn't
it is, I
But
suppose.
it's just
It's not another
getting
Lost, is it?
on my- it is getting like that way,
No,
mate.
no,
You got this
no,
character,
no.
Liam, called Negan, right?
Right.
And he's a real badass bloke, and he's horrible man, right?
Okay.
And old what's his name?
Who's seen
Nick. Is it Nick? Rick's gunning out
Super
to get
fan,
this
yeah.
bloke. He's gunning out to get this bloke.
Yeah.
Right. And he's having loads and loads of opportunities to gun him down and shoot him,
Right.
but he never does. And then something else happens, and something else happens. And I'll tell you what, mate. I mean, for guys that haven't got much ammunition, that have been looking for all this ammunition, where the hell are they getting all this ammunition from? They're just continuously trigger happy, shooting at everything, continuously blowing all the windows out of the buildings rather than shooting people.
They've been
What's that all
trying
about?
to kill him for 8 series. Is this what's
No.
happening?
No,
He's
only
a brand
the-
new baddie.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
a brand
right.
new baddie.
Series 7.
But where are they getting the
into
ammunition from, George? You think it's great at the moment?
Well,
where are
they've
they
got
getting all this
zombies
ammunition?
as well, so you've got to use your imagination a bit, I think.
Oh, you've lost me on that.
Well, they've got zombies, haven't they?
Yeah.
So they can get ammo from wherever they want, can't they? Because we'll make believe.
All right. Okay. we'll move on then, because that's just spinning me out.
I'm going to go back over it because,
Go on.
like last season,
Yeah.
they got all those guns off those people in the tip, didn't they?
Yeah, I know that, right?
They gave them all the guns and ammo, didn't they?
No, they didn't. No, not those weird people. That's
where they were going to get guns and ammo from.
Yeah, but they didn't get the
I
guns.
thought they
ammunition.
got some guns. They got some guns, but then they betrayed them. They did get some guns off them.
This reminds me of the Sartas recycling place. Very much like that.
No, it's just annoying me. It's just I don't know, mate. It's just annoying me. I can't say anything more than that. I'm not loving this one at the moment.
The most recent thing on TV that I've got into is Peaky Blinders.
Never
I
saw
watched
it.
that either.
Never saw
Do you
it.
like that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's an English thing, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah, proper.
Set in Birmingham.
Yeah.
Birmingham.
Proper gangster.
See, the thing is, I think that English box sets, television, it's slowly slipping away. The Americans are kicking out some real good shit at the moment,
But
and
they've-
British is failing.
But they've remade quite a bit of stuff, though, haven't they? The
Doctor Who.
Americans.
What a bag of shit!
I
that is.
never like that. To be fair,
I bet George is into Doctor
I don't
Who.
watch Doctor Who either.
You don't
No,
watch Doctor
no.
Who? That
No.
surprises
best
me.
thing about it
George.
is the
Game of Thrones.
theme tune.
Eh?
Game of Thrones.
What is that all about?
All right.
How much of that beer have you been drinking,
Put
Liam?
the theremin away.
Yeah, so George, holidays. I mean, we've had some cracking holidays away, haven't we? We've been to St Austell Caravan Park,
Yeah.
which was probably our first. We went to Barry Island,
Oh, Barry. How can you forget Barry?
Magaluf.
Granny.
We
Granny.
went to
Say that one.
we went weekend. What do you mean, Granny? Well, no, I think Granny getting her breasts out.
It was a wet-
We went to a wet t-shirt competition, Liam, and there was an
Right.
old Granny
Must have been
on
over
stage.
60s.
It was an old over 60s wet
wasn't.
t-shirt competition.
Was it?
Well, it wasn't supposed to be, but that's what it was.
That's what it turned into.
because the holiday park, Barry Island, was a Butlins, and I
Right.
think when we went, it was obviously
It was
off,
dying.
It was off. It was off peak
Almost
sort
dead.
of time, and
Like
it was all
Walking Dead.
old people there, right? So I think it was just like they carried on the theme, but
Right.
because it was old people there, it ended up being old grannies getting their breasts out, which was nice.
Lovely.
We went for weekends away in Porthcawl, which
Yeah.
was pretty good,
Yeah.
and we had some fun times there. Tenerife.
Ton
Right,
of grief, yeah.
and then we went to we done loads and loads of tours around Cornwall. So that's what sort of things that me and George used to get up to as we've grown up. Which one of those though, George, stands out the most? St Austell, Barry Island, Magaluf, Porthcawl, Tenerife, Cornwall. Which one stands out the most, or is the one in your head that we haven't talked about?
Probably looking back, but at the time, Barry Island, that was a shocker.
It
wasn't
was,
But,
wasn't
I
it?
mean, you couldn't make it up, could you?
It was.
They had the stalagmites, stalactites in the oven.
Oh yeah, we got there.
Yeah.
This is old school Butlins, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Before it closed
Before they
down.
went all retro modern.
Yeah, but before it closed down. I think what year was it? It was mid-90s. There was a massive. There was the whole
health inspectors.
No, the whole place was swept over by like a hurricane, and there was loads and loads of damage done. Right. And
how much improvement?
They almost like tried to repair it as best they could for the next season using gaffer tape.
But Heidi High.
Yeah, and it was just like, we got there, didn't we, George? And there was about, I reckon, about, how big's that? About 40 mil?
No, mate.
400 mil.
50p?
That's about 15 mil.
That?
Yeah.
Well, all right. There was a massive gap underneath the door.
12 inches.
Right? The door would vibrate because it was that cold that George managed to get some sort of like disease, pneumonia or something, that he couldn't even walk up the stairs. He was like shaking and he was in hell of a state.
Probably the mould from the oven.
We got raided one night because we had some random bloke sniffing coke off the table. I don't even think it was coke. I think it was speed, wasn't it, George?
Yeah, something like that.
And he was called Boswell, and he was from Bodmin or something like that, wasn't he? And
Bodmin.
He was from some part of Cornwall, wasn't he? He was called Boswell. Yeah, because that's how he started talking to us. Because
he was Welsh.
No, he was Cornish. He was from
Cornwall,
Red Roof or something like that. And he came back to our apartment, and we were doing some naughties, and I think it was speed. I'm not too sure, but then the bouncers come in or security people come in and raided our flat, and we was that paranoid.
What, with the Redcoats?
No, it wasn't Redcoats, it was security. But I think we had a 1/10 of like solid, didn't we? And I think we hid it and we buried it in the car park or something, didn't we, George? Because we started paranoid. We went up in the middle green bit or Donkey Derby field and dug a little pit. Stuck his 10th of hash in the ground. We was that paranoid.
The donkeys got eye as fuck a day later.
But yeah, so Paul, you reckon then, George? Because I
reckon
that St Austell caravan park was another weird one, wasn't it?
That was a good one, yeah. I suppose camping they were pretty good, weren't they?
Can you remember in that caravan park when you looked right one morning and there was a...
yes, I can.
Well, tell us a story about that.
I don't want to tell you.
Go on, tell us.
There was a big hairy bloke, wasn't there?
Yeah. With
just as much hair on his chest as on his back.
Yeah.
And he had an Asian wife, didn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, she was Asian.
So there I am in the morning, stood up, looked across. She was in the exact mirror position to me.
Looking right
at me. I waved at her, and she waved back with a dildo in her hand.
Was that the day when you was extremely, extremely hungover?
I don't know, yeah, probably, yeah.
Because George is the only chap that I know, right, that can go out on the lash, right? Now, bearing in mind, we was only about 15, 16 at the time, and we was drinking stupid amounts that day, right?
Dog.
And George was the only person I know that can throw up chips, right? But when he threw them up, they were perfect cubed chunks. Now,
I don't know how it works. I don't know how that happens in your stomach.
I don't know. I mean, that was I don't know. I mean, we had some great memories. Can you remember? You remember? You know Chuckle Brothers, Liam?
I do.
They got those four wheeled like push bikes, and they with the roof on the top,
like the pedal thing.
Yeah. We took one of them on a joyride,
pedalo on wheels,
and we took it to the top of a sand dune,
as you do,
and pedalled it down the other side.
Yeah.
It tipped over which you would do, right? Yeah. And the wheel just totally buckled, honestly. And
90-degree angle.
How'd you get away with that one?
Well,
easy.
I've never laughed so much in my life, to the extent that I nearly cried. And it was just looking back on it. It was a crap holiday, but looking back on it, it was
some of the best.
So funny.
You laugh.
I came home on the Friday night and managed to leave near enough every item of whatever I took down with me. And then got the lads to bring it up home with them. But no, we had some good times. So like I say, we had St Austell Caravan Park, we had Barry Island, we had Magaluf. That was another good one, wasn't it, George?
Well, yeah, I suppose. Parts of it were.
Weekends away in Porthcawl when I got headbutted by a Porthcawl bird.
Started a fire in the nightclub?
No, I didn't start a fire in the nightclub.
I thought you did.
No, I got chucked out, and as I was outside waiting for my mates, the place started burning down. And it was nothing to do with me. Tenerife,
Let me back in.
When we had a bloke in our hotel.
Just the theme is a fire at every place you've been.
No, in Tenerife there was no fires apart from I cut my hand open and was bleeding to death.
Yeah.
And the only way we could get to hospital was by going back to our hotel. And the bloke that owned our hotel was Saddam Hussein, and he called a 999 and an ambulance turned up.
Oh, God,
British
New Year's
one.
Eve, wasn't it? New Year's Eve?
That was New Year's. It
New
would have
Year's
been New
Day.
Year's Day. That would have. We was out on the lash all day, and we
I've
ended
never
up.
seen so much blood being flicked everywhere. Look at my hand. I'll stop spraying with me blood.
So we've had some good times, haven't we?
Yeah, definitely, mate. Yeah.
Good ones. Anyway, we're going to play a track for you now. We'll finish up these drinks. I'll play a track for you, and then we're going to talk a little bit about bees. Now, the first track that we have for you this week, I listened to on Sunday night, and it took me back to the days when I used to listen to Moby. Very simple, yet very effective. It draws you in and then slaps you in the head. Brilliantly done. Words there by Gideon.
The Guardian.
No. Words there by Gideon Cole from BBC Radio 6 Music. They are called Equinox, and their debut album comes out on the 19th of January. The album consists of 14 special tracks featuring lots and lots of great artists such as Ashley Reeks, Feral 5, Vince Clarke, Jay Stansfield, Will Harris, to name a few. Now, the album's name is It's Hard to Be Happy When Your Head is Full of Sin. And here is track number 2, and it goes by the name of Kiss. Enjoy.
My head is aching, my mind is brewing. I'm sure there's something I should be doing to ease your conscience, baby, clear your mind. But I'm far too busy clearing mine. Aching, my body's dying. I'm sure there's someone I can hear crying, for someone to hold on to for all time. But I'm too engrossed, making my life prime. Has fulfilled my every wish. I could die only feeling the pain of your kiss.
Playing?
It is playing, George. Yeah, we're back on. We're back. Did you like our song?
Brilliant, mate.
Yeah, mate.
Yeah, really, really good song, isn't it?
Yeah.
The fact is, I haven't actually played it to them, so they haven't got a clue what it sounds like. But I will play it for you in a minute, and you can check it out and tell me what you think.
We'll listen, yeah.
Yeah. Now, we're going to talk a little bit now about bees. Not the mighty Brentford, but like buzzy bees that make honey. Because
honeybees.
Honeybees.
I'll be honest, when you said bees, I didn't think of Brentford right away. I did think of actual bees.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, George is a beekeeper. Did you know that?
I think I did.
Yeah, we talked about
I
it.
think I did.
How long have you been? How long have you been like keeping bees as pets now, George?
Ooh, nearly 10 years, mate.
10 years.
Nearly.
Yeah. How many bees have you got?
How many bees? Individual bees?
Yeah.
Have you counted them?
If I counted them, it would take me a while, but I suppose, millions.
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 How do you like keep in contact with them? Do you know what I mean? Have they all got individual
Takes me a
names?
while,
I've got
especially-
facts.
Especially at Christmas.
Hey?
Takes me a while, especially at Christmas.
You have to like write cards out for every
That's it, man.
individual bee.
Yeah, the tiny cards as well.
How many hives have you got then?
About 16 now.
16.
16 hives.
And how hard is it to keep bees?
Well, it's tricky, you know. In the summer, they all on a swarm and do their own thing, so you've got to keep on top of it. Look at them every 7 days. Make sure they're still there, still ticking over.
What do you mean, look at them?
Well, I've got to make sure because they want to swarm, see, if they get to a certain point where they're feeling cushy, happy, got enough food, that's the way of reproducing. They swarm, so they split in two.
But don't they follow the queen bee, don't they?
They follow the queen bee, yeah. The queen bee goes off.
So what happens if do you ever get like other queen bees coming into different hives? Is that a heard of thing?
Yeah, you
So
never
what
say
happens?
never.
What happens if you've got like
coup, that's what you're saying.
What happens if
Some
you've got
coup,
like
yeah.
a red group and you've got a blue group, which is like 20 miles down the road,
Like
and the
communists.
blue group's
Like ready, steady, cut.
yeah, the
Yeah.
blue group's
Green peppers,
queen
red
bee
peppers.
comes in. Would the red group's bees workers follow the blue one and take all the bees from the hive?
So again, if the red queen came into the blue queen's hive,
Yeah. Would the blue? Oh, God, I can't-
I think you're
Basically,
describing politics in the UK.
if a foreign
Labour and Conservative, yeah.
if a foreign queen came
Corbyn
into your
bee,
hive,
Theresa May bee.
maybe
A queen, yeah.
Would she
by
think nick all the
mistake,
bees?
They'd probably kill her.
they would kill
Yeah,
them, would
it's
they?
like gang warfare, mate.
So they do know they,
Bloods and the Crips.
They do know
a
different. They do know different bees then.
Yeah, they do know different bees.
Oh,
yeah.
they know
the
'em,
queen gives off her own pheromone, so
Right.
the bees in that hive know who she is. So if another one came in, they'd be hell up.
Is it hard to keep bees then?
Yeah, it's fairly tricky. I mean, you got to give them a lot of love and attention. You know, with all of what's going on with the bees today, you know, varroa mite is a very, very tricky thing to handle with the bees. Doesn't do the bees any favours. So you
What
can't
is-
leave them alone really like you used to be able to in the old days.
What is it?
It's a little mite,
Right.
and it sucks the blood of the bee
Really?
and transmits viruses to the bees.
So is that what's killing the bees off in this country then?
It's
Because
probably a major factor in killing bees.
'Cause
Well,
I-
not killing
I-
bees, but not, you know, setting them off in a disadvantage.
didn't they say back along that all these radio signals
Yeah,
from
mobile
mobile
phones.
phone masts, they're
Yeah,
killing bees?
electricity poles, pylons.
Do you believe in that?
Don't know, not really. I haven't seen it.
So what do you need then to become a beekeeper? What
bee
what do
suit.
you need?
Bee suit is a good place to start.
Bees.
Is that the first thing you bought then when you decided you wanted to get bees? Was the first thing you
No.
bought was a bee suit?
That's a very important thing, but it's probably a few things. Yeah, beehive, obviously bees,
Close
Yeah.
second to bees.
not just the queen on their own. Beehives, bees, bee suit.
Right,
Probably a smoker,
right.
hive tool.
Is that like a vape thing? Is it?
No,
Right. Okay.
no, nothing like one of those.
What produces the smoke?
Yeah, you can put anything in there. Cardboard. I use dried wood,
Right.
rotten wood,
Right.
rotten dry wood.
Yeah.
That's my favourite smoking
Utensil.
It's a compound.
So
combustible fuel.
the thing is, I mean, when you first started collecting, well, I won't say collecting, when you started
Collecting
keeping bees,
bees.
I
Yeah.
thought,
It's not a sticker book.
what the hell are you doing here, George? But now, actually, I'm actually finding it quite fascinating, to be honest with you, because, like I say,
It
I'll
is
never
fascinating.
forget the first year George had his bees. Didn't they just all run off somewhere else, and you went to your hive one day and they're all gone? And I was
No.
taking the mickey out of you for it because all your bees ran away,
Yeah, I can remember that.
and he was a little bit
Like it was
sad 'cause-
yesterday.
yeah, but yeah, so. You know, it's interesting because I just thought, you whack a hive in the bottom of your garden,
Yeah, no, it's
and
not like
bees will appear, and you just get honey from it. But it's not like
Just come back one
it's
day.
not like
That's
that at
it.
all.
No,
is
it's
it?
not like that at all. No.
No. So why are bees so important to us?
Well, they pollinate lots of food that we eat. So like apples, I don't know. There's broad range. It's like a third of the food we eat is pollinated by bees. So it'd be pretty boring if we didn't have any bees left. The food variety would be pretty boring. It'd be pretty beige.
We was watching a podcast. Well, we was trying to without falling asleep after we come back from the pub, and there was that dude on there, that fungal bloke. What was he called?
Fungi.
Can you remember what his name was?
Fungi.
Can you remember what his name was? Fungi. The Americans call it fungi, not fungi. Fungi. Can you remember what his name was?
Not a clue.
All right,
Nick,
okay.
was it?
I don't know. I know what he's called. He's on the Joe Rogan podcast because I religiously watch that. But he was talking about fungi and its effect on bees. Can you remember what he was talking about on that?
Something about a mushroom. He had some mushrooms growing next. He had 2 beehives and he had some mushrooms growing next to them, didn't he? You remember more than me.
Well, I think what he was trying to get at is you've got this parasite that you're talking about that stay on the bees, right?
The varroa, yeah.
Yeah, and the mushrooms that he grows by the hives, the parasites eat away at the mushroom, and does it kill the parasites or something?
Yeah, he said something about that. He said something about like a Latin name or something. He was going on about this Latin name only for mushrooms or something. Something in the mushroom. Obviously, it can expand your mindset as well. You're saying, but that core factor in the mushroom or something would help the bees or something, didn't he?
Yeah,
they were eating the mushrooms, weren't they, or something?
But I mean, what he was talking about mushrooms, right, was really, really amazing to the extent that it was that amazing. George fell asleep within about 2 minutes of it. But we
took it in turns, mate.
Well, I did. Yeah, but I'd already seen the podcast.
I was waiting for the bee bit. It's like you didn't tell me it was 4 hours into it.
But no, it was a really interesting podcast if you're into your mushrooms and that. And but going back to bees, right? So if I wanted to start keeping bees, right, how would I go about doing it? What I'm getting at is you obviously go out and you buy your hive, you buy your suit, you buy all your gear and stuff like that.
Yeah, all the gear, no idea.
Where do you get bees from? Is it like www.bees.com? And you hello mate, can I order 400 bees, please? Oh, can I have
B&Q? That's what you get.
He's on forms. And can I have a queen bee as well, just to keep them in line? Is that what it's like?
That's what we were talking down the pub, wasn't it? So in your post round, you get
we do,
queens.
Yeah. I delivered quite a few queen bees.
There's quite a few queens down our delivery office. Yeah. So you find
take it somewhere else, doesn't he?
So if
you order them, you can order them online. They come as the Americans call them packages, but you can buy over nukes.
Nukes.
Yeah.
You can buy a nuke.
Yeah.
I'm a bit concerned. Don't tell that dude from South Korea you can buy nukes online.
Amazon.
Half a hive.
What's a nuke then?
Half a hive. They call it a nucleus. So it's obviously
and they come by post
in the world. You can get them sent.
We deliver them.
You've delivered bees before.
Special delivery normally, so they get there as quick as possible.
They don't want to be hanging around too long.
Don't want them going back to the office.
No.
Imagine that if you dropped it in the office and there's bees everywhere.
There was a parcel force thing a while back that made the news. I saw where they delivered a big lot, and it was. And when they opened the back of the van, it was just full. They swarmed.
Didn't you go to a swarm once, George? And the box opened up when you was driving home. When you're driving down the road with your bee suit on, there was just swarms of bees flying around in your car.
Yeah, that was the first one I did, I
think. Anyway, last week, me and
a bit quicker then.
Last week, me and Liam was talking about the moon. And I was going on about NASA have been saying recently, George, that apparently there's been pictures of that NASA have found of real tall, like lanky men on the moon, and they reckon there's
lanky men on the moon.
They reckon that there's there's been alien forms on the moon recently doing experiments and stuff like that, and NASA have kept it quiet. Alien bodies have been seen on the moon.
Where did you see this?
I don't know whereabouts it was.
Don't know where you saw it.
Fox News.
I can't remember where it was.
Was it in a dream?
But what I was saying last week, we was talking about the moon. Do you believe, right, that we have ever been on the moon?
They put a man on the moon.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Do you believe they put a man
lanky
on the moon?
men on the moon?
Not lanky man, normal men. Us.
Yes, they did. They did.
You reckon we've been on the moon?
Yeah, because they've got went to the moon, didn't they? And apparently.
It's solid so far.
You can guarantee that when George is in the house, right, you got all facts coming out here now. Yeah, so right, they put a man on the moon, didn't they?
Yeah, when they went to the moon,
yeah,
along with some of their science tests or something, they put
they had a monkey on the moon and a dog.
They put a bit of shiny metal on there.
What are you talking
Just
about?
wait.
Shiny happy people.
It's a bit of shiny metal, and then when they came back, they could fire a laser off it. And it would
Frickin' laser.
a freaking laser, and it would rebound back, and then they could tell how far it was to the moon and back.
Is that right? Is that right, Liam?
Something like that.
You're an intelligent bloke. Is this bloke talking utter shite, or is that true?
Well, I've tried it with lasers and tinfoil before, so it must. Yeah.
Right, so what we're saying then is if you and me say from here, you can see Carradine, can't you?
Or Kittle.
Right.
Wrap tinfoil.
If we wrap
down.
tin foil around the top of it,
Yeah.
right, and I fire one of those like freaking laser beams,
Yeah.
it will fire across the Kittle and come back, and we'll be able to see how far it is.
Yeah.
Do you reckon that would work?
It sounds like a challenge, doesn't it?
Do you believe in aliens, George?
Do I believe like Scientology? Did you watch that program on Scientology the other night?
Don't talk to me about
Louis Theroux.
Louis who?
Louis Theroux.
Don't know who he is.
You do.
I don't.
Yeah, I do.
Louis who?
Theroux.
I know Louis Walsh.
Theroux.
Is that the bloke with glasses?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know he is.
Yeah.
And narrows it down.
Yeah, so what was he going on about?
Scientology.
What's that?
It's a new religion, isn't it?
A new religion?
Tom Cruise is in it, all wrapped up in it.
Oh, this is getting deep tonight, this is. No, we're talking about aliens.
Yeah, I think that's based of their religion is
Yeah,
that
it is.
they descended from aliens or something, and they reincarnate
Yeah, it is.
over time.
It's fairly odd.
I haven't got
It's
a
like
clue
a
what
cult.
you're talking about.
Cult
Yeah, it's like a
religion
cult.
thing.
Did you watch it?
No,
I didn't watch
Yeah.
that, but I do. I will have to catch it.
Right. So we'll go back to the question I asked you. Do you believe in aliens, George?
Me?
Do you believe that there's alien life form out there?
I don't know. I don't know. I think we would have known about it by now, wouldn't we? I suppose you could say it's hard to believe we're the only things in the universe.
Well, the reason why I
any living
ask
things.
is because when we grew up in the 90s, can you remember there was loads and loads of crop circles appearing everywhere?
Yeah, there was, wasn't there? I forgot about that.
Now, were those crop circles made by people, or were they alien communications, do you think?
Well, I don't know. Nowadays, I don't hear of them, do you? So I reckon it might have been humans.
Well, I actually went
But then I don't know.
to a couple of these crop circles back in the day.
Yeah.
And they were amazing things. There was a couple around the Callington area where we used to live, because there's always strange goings on around that place. But there was...
Was it the Maze?
No, it wasn't the Maze. No. There was a few crop circles that I went into, and you really, really can't describe... I can't see how somebody would make them. Now, I remember watching on Spotlight years ago, there was a bloke that was saying that he was making loads of these crop circles, and he was like standing on pieces of wood, and the wood would be in front of him, and it would fold the corn or the maize, whatever it is, it would fold it down. But the thing is...
It takes a bit of planning, though, and you can't actually see if it's that big what you're doing, really.
Exactly.
Can you?
That's it, yeah.
I mean, some of these crop circles were massive, weren't they? So technical.
Acres, some of them, weren't it?
Well, the one that I went into, you could have said that it was possibly... looking at it beside the road, it looked just like a big circle and a small circle, and in between the two there was like a little pathway. But when I actually got inside the crop circle, there was a lad that was with us, and he was using those dowsing rods, and he pick up all the energy, whether you believe in that stuff or whether you don't. But the one thing that I did notice was there was a dock leaf in the middle of this crop circle. Now, if you was to stand on a dock leaf, what would generally happen to the stalk?
Be crushed.
It would crush, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
This actual dock leaf come out the ground, the stalk, and it kinked, went along and then up like that. There's no way that it could have possibly be trampled on it because it would have been crushed. Whereas this actually, the whole stem bent and then went up with the wall of the crop circle,
keeping it free in case he stung himself.
There's
nettles.
I didn't see any nettles there.
Well, that's why.
There's new ones out now, aren't there?
What, crop circles?
No, they do them in the sand now or something. Appearing
Sand circles.
Circles in the sand. Sorry.
bit of Belinda Carlisle there. No, so like I say, back in the 90s, it was all crop circles down here in Cornwall and across the world. There's lots of them. Interesting on that, I don't know what you guys at home think of that one. jaff10@hotmail.com. Get in contact with us and tell us. What about ghosts, George? Do you believe in ghosts?
I don't really want to know about ghosts.
Have you ever seen it?
They scare me.
Have you ever been grabbed by the ghoulies? Have you ever been
The ghoulie.
ever seen any
ghoulies?
bumps in the night, anything like that?
I don't know. We've walked home a few times in the dark in the country lanes, and
Not seen
that was
anything?
normally pigeons.
Yeah. What about you, Liam? Have you ever seen any ghosts? Do you believe in ghosts?
I guess it's the same thing as the alien thing. There's got to be more to stuff than what's just on Earth. But I've never really seen anything. There's nothing.
I had a scary one. I just remembered.
Yeah. Well, I think we're going to talk about. Was I there?
Oh, yeah, that was another one.
Don't talk about that. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But what's this other
I had
one?
another one. When I was living at home, I was sat next to the gas fire. The gas fire on the wall, and there was a coaster made out of glass. It was on the fire 1 minute, sitting there watching TV. Next minute, on the floor, and rolled past me.
Gas leak?
Probably, yeah.
Was it a round coaster or a square
round
coaster?
It doesn't
See, that's
sound
interesting.
Doesn't sound weird, does it? That's the only one thing I can remember that was a bit weird. I mean, it doesn't sound weird, I suppose, because it could have been on the edge or something if the fire was on. But
Yeah.
it wasn't. It wasn't on the edge.
No, it's all right. No, it was.
What about how can I explain it? What about beasts, as in like
Beasts?
the Bodmin beast? Down here in Cornwall, we've got Dartmoor, which
Beast
is
of Bolventor.
Devon, isn't it?
That's what you made up.
Yeah,
isn't
and
it?
then we've got the Bodmin Moor, so it's just big moorland. And there's a old zoological place called Dartmoor Zoo, isn't there?
Mm-hmm.
Near us. And apparently years and years ago there was a couple of animals that were set loose or got lost, and over the years they were never found, and there's been sightings of this big wild cat
But surely
across the
It's
moors.
been going on it must be hundreds of years, haven't it? Like
Panthers.
old legends and myths.
Lots of sheep have been seen, ripped to bits
Yeah,
the
on
Hound
the
of the
moors and
Baskervilles
stuff like
thing.
that. Do you believe in things like that? Because me and George
Oh yeah, remember this?
seen something one night.
I think there probably is something out there because you can't keep an eye on
Oh,
moorland
give me
all the
heebie-jeebies
time,
now.
can you?
I was seeing a girl years and years ago, and she had a riding school, horse riding school, may I add. And it was a cold and frosty night, and me and George was going
Sound like
down
Elvis.
going down to pick her up. And I don't know the distance it was, but as we're driving down the road, quite a while away, I'd say quarter of a mile down the road, something jumped across a gate, stopped in the middle of the road, looked at us. Right, we saw the glare in his eyes,
shined.
and it ran off. Now, this thing, wasn't it, George? It was about deer height,
Yeah,
but
could have
it
been
looked like
deer,
it looked like
but
a cat, didn't it?
It looked like furry, didn't it? Shaggy, like a wolf or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
Don't know
but
what it was.
There's got to be stuff out there. There
Yeah.
really has.
there's only one other place that I've been to where I've seen strange
A
goings
couple
on.
of times as well.
Trago Mills?
No.
Oh.
Now, down in Cornwall, we've got a place called Lou, right? And there's also a place called Foy.
Yeah.
And in between the two, I think it's between Lou and Foy, George, isn't it? Lansalos, right?
Next
Okay.
to Polperro.
Now, Lansalos is the most strangest place in the world. Me and George used to go there quite often every year, and we used to do a tour of Cornwall. We used to go down the south coast, and then we used to come up on the north coast in our cars,
Like the Route
a load of
66.
us,
isn't it?
and we used to camp at various places along
Yeah.
the way. But the first place we always used to stay at on a Friday night, just because it was close to home, was this place called Lansalos. Now, every single time me and George went to this place, something weird would happen, and I'm talking seriously weird, right?
Seriously.
The first time we went there, we nearly got knocked off the cliff by horses. We were just walking along in pitch black.
Yeah, the
and
last
next-
place you'd expect to see a horse.
Yeah.
In a gorse bush.
Yeah, we're walking
On a
along
cliff.
on the
Gorse and a
cliff,
horse.
on a cliff, walking across a coastal footpath along the cliff, pitch black. It was nearly pitch black, wasn't it, George?
It was
Next
pitch black.
minute-
It was night time. Yeah.
Jason jumps, a friend of ours. He jumped. I was in the middle.
Jason Jump.
George is behind me, and because one jumps, the other one jumps, and we just all start running off. There's horses looking across right up our
Jason
head
jumps.
like this. So that was the first time. Every single time we went down there, right, we saw glowworms.
Right.
Miss it.
Always saw glowworms. there was a house on top of the hill that whether you went there at 2 o'clock in the morning, 3, 4, it was the front door was always open. There was people in there talking all
weird,
the
wasn't it?
time, right? There was one time we went down there and George and Ben found a missing lady.
Yeah.
Okay.
There was
We didn't know she was missing.
No, we got down there and there was all the RNLI was in their lifeboats and there was helicopters flying around and somebody came up to us and said, has anybody seen the lady? She's gone missing.
Knocked off a cliff by a horse.
George went off looking for some wood, him and Ben, and managed to find this lady, didn't you, George?
We did, yeah.
Yeah, and then
We said hello, how are you doing? She said, yeah, I'm all right, thanks.
and
You
then
found me.
Yeah, right in
The
the middle of the night. Weird.
spookiest thing of all,
Right.
was once me and George saw something on the beach. And I'll tell you what, I've never ever seen anything that can describe this in all my life. Now,
It's weird, isn't
there
it?
was alcohol involved, right? And there was a
Yeah,
bit
we only
of,
got there. We'd only just got there.
and we had smoked a little bit of naughty stuff.
Apart from that, you were perfectly lucid.
But what I'm getting at is what I saw
Yeah.
was exactly the same as what George saw.
Right. Yeah.
And generally, 9 times out of 10, if you've both been drinking, your stories would both be different, wouldn't they?
Mm.
Right now, what was it, about 9:30 on a Friday night, wasn't it, George?
No, it's dark.
Well, it was
Wasn't
getting
it dark?
dark, wasn't it? It was
Yeah.
like, I mean, bearing in mind, this is going back
Dusk.
20, 30 years ago now, so it might vary the story, but it was getting dusk,
But
right?
not what we saw.
And we're sat on the beach and we've got a beer in our hand and
That's wrong.
why is it wrong? Why is it wrong?
Because we walked down onto the beach, jumped down onto the shingle, and looked up and we saw it, didn't we?
You're very right.
Yeah.
Very right. It is very true.
Because going down to land solace is that like drops off, doesn't it? Like natural steps,
yeah.
and you can
Yeah.
jump the last couple instead of like clambering down them.
Yeah. Anyway, we jumped down onto the beach looked up, and on the
water
point on the water line, right, there was a cliff there, and I looked, and George looked, and we both seen the same thing. On the left, there looked like a tiger, like a silhouette of a big cat.
It's like it's eating something like that. Or
And
I
it
don't know,
looked
it
like
wouldn't- I don't know why-
like Gollum. It was like eating or drinking something like
I
the
don't know
water,
why I'd
wouldn't
be
it?
drinking seawater, but it must have been eating something.
Yeah.
Or something. Weird.
And when we jumped onto the sand, obviously
It startled
disrupted
it.
it startled it. It looked at us, right? And then it ran up the vertical cliff face, now like a gecko running up a wall. This cliff face was like that. It was vertical.
Right.
And this cat, like panther sort of sized object, black, ran up that cliff, honestly.
Yeah, it was weird, isn't it?
And I was just startled. And I turned to George, and George was already looking at me. And we both said, did you see that?
Yeah,
And I'll tell you what, that is the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life.
yeah. That's the only thing. Yeah,
Spooky, isn't it?
that's weird.
It's just a weird place. Like
Can't explain it.
every time we go there, we'd always see something weird. Like last time we went there, we was walking back and we just randomly saw 2 girls in a ditch talking. Remember that night?
That's Cornwall, though. Isn't it?
Yeah, that is Cornwall, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just really, 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 really weird. So that's Lan Salos. I can't really. Have you seen anything weirder than that place, George?
No, mate, that's up there.
Gonna have to get me down there, I think.
I think do you fancy going down there one time, George? Again?
Yeah,
going
we
down
could do
there,
that.
going
There's
camping,
a
just one
campsite
weekend.
right at the top of the
Take Derek a Cora with
footpath.
us.
We could do a live podcast down there, couldn't we? We could record a podcast.
Could do.
It'll be a little bit like that film, wouldn't it? With the stones. What would it called?
Castaway.
No, when that pile of stones.
Oh,
The Blair Witch Project.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
brilliant.
God.
Yeah, I really want to go down there now.
We'll do that.
Sleep tight.
Yeah. Another thing we was talking
We'll
about on
drive
Saturday
home in the
night
dark now.
was My Fitness, George. We was going to do. I was
were
trying to convince you to come trail running with me up Kiddill.
Trail running.
Trail running. Yeah. Shut up, you two.
Running through courts.
Yeah.
Guilty.
I'm doing a bit of trail running. I'm doing taekwondo. I've been trying to get you to do a bit of taekwondo as well.
Yeah,
And-
warming up to the idea.
Bodyboarding. I've got my bodyboard back.
Have you?
Have you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know you.
Where'd
You
it
sent
wash
me a
up?
Photo. Yeah, it's good.
I went for my first surf about 2 weeks ago
Yeah.
down Trianon and come across a Portuguese man of war.
Oh, that's enough to put you off, isn't it?
Well, no, because the thing is, it's
You got
like
a wetsuit on.
no, I actually wore contact lenses this time, so I could actually see these things in the water. Whereas
Yeah,
last
good
time
point.
I couldn't see it.
Good point.
And one thing I'm also going to do as well is I'm going to dig my mountain bike out of the garage because You know, we spent like £1,500 on mountain bikes
Yeah, I was
back
thinking
along,
that.
and I haven't used it for ages.
Yeah, how much for an
I
MTB?
haven't ridden my bike for a while.
We've got some right good mountain biking stories to tell, haven't we?
Yeah, I remember you.
Can you think of any?
Head over heels down a steep track. Jeff done a roly-poly off the front. I don't know how he did it. And then managed to land sitting sat on his ass. It was funny. But mind you, it could have been dangerous. You didn't half whack your head, didn't you?
Yeah, it did hurt a bit. And then there was that time we was up Kithill and I fell off my bike, and good job George was there, because I could have probably still been there to this day.
I snarled up with a tree root.
I went to jump this. I went to go over this, like, I don't know what it was, stones or something, and I fell off and I fell into a gorse bush, and the bike fell on top of me but got tangled in my legs. Right, so my legs are stuck in between the bike. And I couldn't physically get up because my legs were tangled. I couldn't get up, and George was laughing his head off, and he's trying to pull the bike off me, and he couldn't because my legs were tangled in the bike. So I don't know. It was funny, wasn't it?
It was funny, man.
Right, in a sec, we're going to play you our second song of the night. But first, here's Liam's news from the world.
Hello. Well, this is my news of the world section.
No, news from the world. You can't say
yeah,
news
sorry,
from the world.
sorry.
Because else we get
It's
done for
defunct now.
copyright.
It's fine.
Is it?
Yeah. I am this week looking at something which is to do with the UK in so much as it actually.
So the whole point of this news from the world is to get my audience from around the world, because most of our audience are from America and the UK. So I asked Liam to do a story from news from around the world.
You didn't let me
And he
finish,
picks the
actually,
UK.
because we are going to be targeting the Iran market this week. Yeah. So shout out to Iran. Release the young lady. Yeah, Boris Johnson. I just found this. It's not funny at all.
Boss.
But he has put his, like never before, put his foot in it, and actually ended up, this woman who had gone to Iran, has a UK family, and was arrested for something over there. She was on holiday.
What was she arrested for, Liam? Do you know?
She was arrested for multiple things.
Training journalists.
But yeah, well, which is
That's what Boris said.
which,
she
as
was
it
doing.
turns out, they didn't know about until he said it. So when he said it, he pretty much
added an extra 5 years.
It'd be like the lawyer saying, "Actually, no, he did it. He's guilty."
Yeah.
and then
Good
expecting
Boris.
it. So yeah, so it looks like she could get another 5 years in prison in Iran. Because, and he's apologised now. He said,
It's too fucking late.
I'm
isn't
sorry,
it, now?
I'm sorry.
It's too late. He's stitched her right up.
And she is, I mean, as
She's
a
in a
serious
bad way as well.
She's fairly ill. I think she's
She got
cancer
lumps
as
on
well.
her breast or something she discovered.
And it's fairly unlikely that she'll get the treatment out there that she needs.
Nice one, Boris.
So Boris Johnson has now not just made a comical gaffe, but one that could actually end up with someone dying. Is it time for him to go?
He's the Home Secretary, isn't he? Is he the Home Secretary?
He's something, all right.
He is an absolute tool. He's a bit of a.
He's the Foreign Secretary. Yeah.
Foreign Secretary, yeah. He's. I don't know how to describe the guy. He just looks like a goon. He years ago, right? He sold. Can you remember in London they used to have all those bendy buses? But two buses
didn't they do
stuck
well?
together?
Yeah.
Right. He sold them to the Maltese. Right. He sold them to Malta.
But they're a cross.
All of these buses, telling them how great it was. Get rid of all your old buses, because over in Malta's renowned for old yellow buses. You know, real old buses. Yeah. And because Malta's sort of like part of the UK, and do you know what I mean? It's
hand me down. That's what you're saying.
They brought in an MOT. They brought in MOTs, and all the old buses were failing the MOTs. So Boris came up with the idea of selling Malta all of our London bendy buses. Now, if you ever been to Malta, right, all of our streets are like streets of Cowstock, right, which is a small, it's like small Cornish communities, very small towns, right, and basically all of the buses in Malta were getting stuck. They were overheating, catching on fire. They were catching on fire in London, right? So can you imagine what it was like going to Malta, all these buses, red hot temperature in the middle of summer? They were just all catching on fire. So Boris, well done. He's like King Midas. Everything he touches turns to shite.
We bought a fleet of water things for public disorder, didn't he? That they never used.
Water cannons.
Water cannons.
Did he?
Yeah.
Right.
Insane.
George, if you so that's basically what you're saying, and that's your news from the world.
Oh yeah.
We're
So
talking about
hashtag Iran this
hashtag
week.
Iran.
Free Nazanin Zaghari Ratcliffe.
Wow.
Well done. He's well done.
Oh,
George,
that wasn't well done.
George, have you got a topic of the week and anything that you'd like to talk about before we go into track number 2?
Let me think. I don't know. I suppose there's a lot in the news recently about these acid attacks.
Right.
What's the matter with these people?
Well, I don't know.
Where do they get the acid from?
I don't know. I mean, I can remember years and years ago when I was in primary school.
I mean, who started this? Who started this up? This craze.
Can you remember chemistry sets that you used to get in primary school?
Yeah, I remember primary school. That kid.
Yeah, Daniel Smith. I'm putting you on the spot now. Made copper sulfate crystals.
Yeah, copper sulfate.
There was always that one kid that blew up the classroom.
Yeah, well,
wasn't
this lad made
There's
copper
two of them,
sulfate crystals, and he brought them into school
They
in a
look
little
like
bag.
blue crystals, didn't they?
And they looked like little blue sweets. And he started dishing them out, and there was a few of us that had to have a stomach pumped.
Yeah.
And all that. Like, I had to drink a pint of milk to make
Were you one of them?
sick. There was me, Andrew Varro.
Trees are green.
There was loads
Not
of
trees
us.
are green.
Trees
are
are
wood.
brown.
Trees are wood.
This time of year they're
was
brown.
after.
But yeah, so I suppose all of these chemicals are being made at home.
No, they're just acid, isn't it? Where do you buy acid like that? The chemist.
Acids are us. I don't know.
Well, I mean, the bloke that was just been arrested, I don't know what his name is, but
He's out of Towie.
Yeah, he's a celebrity.
Married to one of them out of Towie.
Chucked acid over loads of about 20 people in a nightclub.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
trying to get his
It's
girlfriend.
odd. It's very odd, and they're using them a lot. People robbing people on bikes when they go around
and
on
mopeds,
scooters.
don't they? Yeah.
Delivery drivers, especially, trying to steal stuff and steal bikes and stuff. It's insane, and it's gone up like in the past 10 years in London from like 400 attacks to like 4,000 or something. It's strange.
Two very interesting topics there, gents. Thank you very much. I've got one that I would like to talk about. And it was an incident that happened to me today that could have been very, very serious. Right?
Paper cut.
No,
Oh.
even worse.
You've been injured in a.
Can you remember years ago in this country we used to have things called window cleaners?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You remember that? But old traditional window cleaners, people
Up
that
the
would
ladder.
come to your
wooden ladder.
house with a wooden ladder, right?
Yeah.
They'd have one of those squeegees with like a mop. It's like a squeegee with like they had one squeegee,
Rubber.
and they had another one, and it was just like a squeegee
Wet and
with,
dry.
with like a what do you call
Rubber.
it? No,
Like
it
a
wasn't.
windscreen
No,
wiper.
that was the squeegee,
Sponge.
and it was like a sponge one. They used to go over the
That's
whole
the one.
window of a sponge,
Yeah.
and they used to squeegee, and they used to really, really. Well,
Why is it called a squeegee?
I don't know. But basically, that's an old traditional window cleaner, right? Now, in 2017, you got these guys that go round, right, with in the UK, and they got a big van, and in the back of this van, they got a huge, great big thing
Water
of
tank.
water tank.
IBC.
And then they've got the world's longest hose pipe in the world that you could basically park the van up in the middle of the street and do the whole of a town.
Oh, trip
they do,
hazard?
don't they?
Tell me,
Right.
trip hazard.
Yeah.
And you see people on the road slowing up, like, should I drive
Yeah.
over it?
And then they've got these massive poles that they could probably do the Empire States building with this bit, and all they're doing is they're just brushing the shit on the window more and more around. Really,
That's it,
innit?
yeah.
How that's window cleaning, I do not know.
We were talking
Now,
about that at work. They don't squeegee it off, do they?
Apologies if you are a window cleaner and I'm like, making you bankrupt here. But after today's incident, I don't really care. No disrespect.
What happened?
Well, I'm walking
happened
along in my
was-
post round, and this bloke's cleaning his windows, and he decides
Hey.
to pull this. He's got like his van's in the middle of the street, one side of the street, and he's cleaning the other side of the street. And these window cleaners think that it's okay to have the hose pipes just going across the road, right?
Do they?
Yeah. And he's winding the hose pipe up like that, right? And as he's winding up, my legs get tangled up in it, and I literally nearly fell on the floor. With now
What
is
did
it?
he say?
He just laughed.
He laughed.
Yeah. And there's me tangled and snarled. It's just wrapping itself around my legs. And I'm getting feel like I'm getting harpooned and wrapped up like sarcophagus up in this.
That sounds like something off a film. You was going to go down with a ship, wouldn't you?
Yeah. It's wrong, isn't it? I mean, there was no. What's happened to our old traditional?
Didn't they put any signs out?
No, there's no signs at all.
No?
Yeah,
Ooh.
no signs at all. It's wrong, isn't it?
Health and safety nightmare.
Should
Sure.
they be having these trip hazards going across the road? One,
No.
And should they be snarling people up? I felt like a fly being
No.
caught in a spider's web.
Did you?
Mm.
I would like to have seen that, actually.
Our second track on episode 36 this week is by a band from Norfolk, and their music comes under the category of electronic. They have a new album that they wanted for me to share with you, and the album comes out on the 19th of February 2018. It's released by Records, and it is called Field Theory. The album consists of 11 mind-blowing songs, and we want to play one for you. Here is track number 2. Special thanks to Shameless Promotions for sending us in the album, and for more info on this week's band, look them up on Facebook, Twitter, SoundCloud, and Instagram. All links to the band will be on my show description notes, which can be found on my webpage, www.jav10.simplesite.com.
One too many W's there.
Did I actually say what the name of the band was called?
Well, it was so
I
long
think so.
ago, I can't remember.
And it is called Field Fury, and this reminds me of something. Oh, I don't know. Anyway, we'll put it on here now, and then I'll tell you what the name of the group's called afterwards. there we have it. That was indeed the band. They were called The Broads. The album is called Field Fury and it is released by Records, 19th of February 2018. Apologies, guys, for forgetting your name, but I got there eventually. Now we're going to move swiftly on to Liam's topic of the week. And what have you got for us this week, Liam?
Well, it's been in the news a fair old bit. It's about zoos and how they deal with their animals. Now, there was this story about, was it a lynx that had escaped and they were looking for it and they said it wasn't harmful and they hadn't got any recorded attacks on humans, but they still shot it dead rather than getting it back. And they've faced a fair bit of criticism.
Whereabouts was this? Was this in the UK?
It's down here, wasn't it?
I think it was. Yeah, no, it was.
That wasn't Dartmoor Zoo, Sparkwell.
Dartwell?
There was a
Dartmoor.
links that Dartmoor Zoo. There was a link that
Dartwell.
links that there was a links that went missing there, wasn't there?
Yeah, that's the one.
The Lynx Africa. Yeah.
So what's the link? What's the link then?
Lynx effect.
The Lynx effect. Yeah.
What's the link?
The links of it is no. I mean, my point is, I don't know what my point is. No, what I'm getting at is, obviously, over the past few years, there have been quite a few things at zoos. Especially there was
monkeys.
Was it the Harambe? Wasn't it? Or the
Harambe? What the hell's a Harambe?
That's his name.
The one with the kid, and the kid had got into or fallen into the enclosure, and the animal had the kid, but wasn't doing anything specific, and they killed the animal, obviously. But you know, do you think sometimes zoos do more harm than good? I mean, we take them out of captivity to give them a better life, and then we end up killing them when they, you know.
Well, I think zoos
they escape and do what's natural to them.
I think zoos are amazing things for keeping conservation,
keeping them in, keeping the animals. My God, the door.
For conservation purposes, they're good. You know, if things are dying off, they're good for rebreeding them and rehoming them and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I'm not going to mention the name of the zoo, but I went there recently. And they've just got one elephant. Now, this elephant's like 100 years old now, and it looks the most saddest elephant in the world because he's just stood there all day by himself because there's no other elephants around. And I just think, you know, I think animals should be in their right environment, and elephants don't belong in the UK.
There was another one, I don't know whether it was America, where they'd accidentally killed the 40-year-old penguin or something. It was a real old penguin, and they put a sign up to say they were cleaning the enclosure. They didn't tell him that he'd been electrocuted on something that was in the.
I'm not going to get on the topic. We're already an hour and 10 minutes into the podcast.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get on the topic of penguins.
No. You don't want to pick that up.
No, because remember that story about penguins when I was living at the caravan, George?
Penguins in a caravan.
I'll tell you about that on another story.
Pick up a penguin.
Yeah, so you're talking about lynx, the lynx effect, and animals
I wish
in
zoos.
I want to know what the penguin story.
Well, I'll tell you about the penguin story in a minute. And I'll tell you guys
the
penguin stories next week. Thank you for taking time out of your busy lives to listen to episode 36. You can get in contact with me, jaff10@hotmail.com. I'm also on Twitter at Mr. Jaff10, Facebook, The Mark Jeffrey Podcast Show, and check out all the links to tonight's music and guest, i.e. George Vincent, by finding my webpage, www.jaff10.simplesite.com. Only 3 W's that time. Please check out this and subscribe to the Mark Jeffrey Podcast Show on iTunes. And while you're there, what should we do, Liam?
Oh, you say this every week and I get the wrong one.
Leave a comment.
Leave a comment.
Yeah.
I've got it right. Yeah, leave some feedback. We like feedback.
Yeah. George, thank you very much for coming in. It's been a bit of a crazy mad one. I feel like I've been on an acid trip for the last hour and a half, but thank you very much for coming in, mate. It's great to see you here. It's been too long and we need to do more stuff together.
Thanks for having me, mate.
It's a pleasure. Thank you again for coming in, Liam.
No worries, man.
It's great to have you in every week as also.
Yeah.
Until next time. Look, before we go on about until next time, Liam, have you got anything you'd like to say? Any comments? Last words?
No.
Okay. Until next time, look after yourself and those around you. Treat others as you wish to be treated yourself. And remember, your life may not be as crazy as you once thought it was.